Hello YouTube, hope you all keeping well out there. A pickups video for the months of July and August 2023. Running behind as per usual, but that's a standard. I've got lots of games here. A good mix in contrary to my previous pickups video where it was very video game light. Lots of comics if you remember. Go back and check it out if you haven't. I've only got one item that's non-gaming related. I'm going to go for that first, and I had no intention of picking this up. It's a figure, and it's a very bizarre one. It's a Fisher Price. I've got it all wrote down here just in case I forgot, which I have. Husky Helper, and it's this big built brick shithouse of a guy here. Real chunky, robust figures. And the reason I got this one, I was just going through eBay, as you do, after a couple of beers as well, and spotted this guy, and this was very, very nostalgic. I remember, I think, finding this figure when I was a kid, just like out and about playing in, you know, my street, and we had woodland near our area where we were growing up, and it might have been somewhere near there, and I seem to remember digging it up and finding it. I don't know, so maybe some other kid buried it and I dug it up and found it, and yeah, this was the exact one. Only had the figure, but very robust. And I don't know if any of you guys did this. It seems crazy suggesting this now, but we used to set our figures up along like a wall or like a little hill or something like that, and throw stones and use them as like target practice. I remember doing that with the little muscle figures you can get in Star Wars figures as well. Ugh. Seeing the price they command now, it just seems sacrilegious, you know, and it is shameful really. But yeah, very robust figures. And my mate Graham, who lived a couple of doors up the street from me, one with a big handlebar moustache, and he looked like something from Village People. Yeah, anyway, silly little purchase, very silly, but there you go. You'll go right, where can you be seen? There you are. Right, on with the gaming related things. The first thing is a book. I've got the Super Famicom version of, well, the company make lots of books, and I have a Super Famicom book I've already picked up. I need to get to reading that one. And there's another one, maybe two, that I'm looking at getting as well, but this is for the Sinclair ZX Spectrum, and it's a visual compendium from Bitmap Books. And yeah, it's been a really good read, taking me back, very nostalgic. Lovely bold colours in there of the games. Nearly halfway through this now, going through. It's in a chronological order. It starts with the manufacture and conceptualization of the 48K. You know, the guy who actually product designed and built the unit contributes. A lot of the programmers, developers obviously contribute to this. They've got little tidbits, and it just really takes you back. You know, lovely bold colour in here. All the games. And what it does, it goes through the games, and then every now and again it's interspliced with like a big company, game developer profile, which goes into some detail. And yeah, it's really, just really interesting. Just really takes me back to much simpler times. So there's that one. There's some Spectrum games now. Now, going through this one, I've actually been making a mental note of a few others that do seem quite interesting, and this was one of them. It fell part of a set. I'm sorry, I'm looking back there for a game. Is it called Dunark? It's similar to that in its Mars Sport. It's by the same company. Is it Gremlin Games that originally did it? Is it Gremlin or Gargoyle Games? And this is part of that sort of set. It's got a similar look and feel with this beautifully animated 8-bit microcomputer sprite walking about, turning around corners in streets and things. I think it's obviously set on Mars. It's a sci-fi, yeah, it's like a Mars colony or something. But I always liked the look of the little characters sort of plodding along and entering doors and interacting with some of the characters in there. And I guess it's very RPG-like and an adventure game. So yeah, like the look of that one. It's in lovely condition there. Still haven't tested it though. And speaking of testing, you might remember in many videos ago, many pickups videos ago, I bought this game, Orbiter. and I bought it again because the original didn't work. Also, I thought. What you need to do, because this is a 16K, I've got a 128K, the grey model, and you need to load it as verbatim per the instructions here. You have to put a clear 25102 code in, and then load speech mark, and then the word code. And for the life of me, I was getting really frustrated by like, how do I put code onto the 128K keyboard. I reached out to Stu, Generation Pixel. Thank you, Stu. We got there in the end, and with his help, I had to enter something called extend mode or extended mode, and then I could put the code in. This works. Went back and tried the other game, and then got that one to working. So it was my fault rather than the actual games not working themselves. So I've sent that one off to Dave. Games played badly, and he's just sort of included that in a little pickups video that he's done. So yeah, glad it got there safe, Dave, and enjoy. And like you, I really do love the 70s, sort of early 80s artwork there, very sort of Battle of the Planets. But yeah, Defender clone, and it's incredible what the developers could squeeze out of a 16K game, the amount they could do. Absolute magicians. Right, this is one I've never actually played. It's part of the Hit Squad collection. I owned a few Hit Squads back in the day, and I understand now they've been collected and things, highly collectible, but I used to really love them as a set. They look so good when you buy those, like the cassette case holders, real cheap plasticky ones, and you sort of screw them onto the wall, have them on your shelf, and then you put them in there, and they'd all be in a line, all nice and sequenced. Clearly showing my OCD at an early age. Yeah, used to have quite a few of them, but never played this one. And it's got a following now, so I've picked it up, want to give it a blast. It's supposed to be balls hard. You know, what do you expect in the film? Yeah, my God, I remember watching it back in the day and then thinking, I need to, let's check out Cobra again. And this is quite a few years ago, granted, and God, it was terrible. Rubbish. Apologies if any of you like that film. Right, this last Spectrum game is like one that I really like for the Spectrum. It's like an action adventure platformer, and yeah, it looks like you get up to mischief. Is little Jack the Nipper, double case here. I remember playing this, or I think there's another one in the series, Jack the Nipper 2, obviously, or is there another one? I can't remember. But yeah, I've got vague memories of playing this, and want to give it a go. I know it's held in reasonably high regard, that one. Put you there. Onto the Master System. Go through in chronological order with these games as per usual. And I purchased Super Monaco GP back in the day, thinking it was a game I remembered playing and really enjoying when I owned my Master System console back in the day. And it wasn't that game because it didn't have the track editor in it. And obviously a bit of research later, silly me, it was actually this game, World Grand Prix. And this is one of the first ones I remember playing. No, it was Super Monaco GP, the one I picked up thinking it was theirs. But this is one of the first games I remember picking up and having with my Master System console after selling my Spectrum. And of course, look at those lovely, bright, bold visuals, you know, goodbye monochrome and limited colour palettes, and attribute clash from the Spectrum, and hello bold, delicious colour. But yeah, this had the track editor in this. And for the time, I just couldn't believe it. It absolutely blew me away that you could do that. Make your own tracks, and yeah, I just got a very nostalgic game for me, this one. I had to pick it up again. Right, onto the PlayStation 2, then Xbox. I've only got one PS2 game, and it's from CEX of all places. I've been going in there quite a bit recently and finding a few things, all complete. And it's Tenchu, Wrath of Heaven. I love my stealth games, and I really must get back into playing these. I played a little bit of one of them on the PlayStation 1 and really liked that. You know, sneaking about as a ninja assassin, stealth kills with your blade, hiding in the shadows, jumping down onto people and taking them out that way. hiding on corners of walls. Yeah, really up my street. I know a lot of people don't like stealth games, but I've always absolutely loved them. Slow, methodical, clean and clinical. I might say something about a bit dodgy about myself, I don't know. God, I'm absolutely parched. Really, really hot here at the moment, especially up in my games room. You might be able to hear my fan gradually trying to keep me cool here. Right, let's go to another Tenchu game, but for the Xbox, Return from Darkness. And this was in CEX the same time that I picked up that one, so yeah, it was a nice little combination of pickups there for the stealth collection. Guess more of the same, but that suits me down to the ground. I'm going to do something later where at the end of this video where, you know, I get games in, I've done it before, and games, if they don't gel with me, or pick up an alternative version or a cleaner copy or whatever, I'll get rid of them, flip them on, and then that money will obviously go back into getting a game that I really want for the collection. And I did have Battlestar Galactica for the PlayStation 2, but as per usual, not always, but you know, 9 times out of 10, the Xbox version has, you know, a better frame rate, better resolution, and just yeah, a bit more fidelity. So I picked up this. Was this in CX2? Don't think this one was. Or was it? Yeah, this one was actually. Still got the residue of the stick on it. Like I said, I picked a few up. Another one from CX. I picked it up. I know it's supposed to be a bit of a turd, and I've seen some gameplay of it leading up, you know, way before now, back in the day when it was actually doing the rounds, and it just didn't really click with me. And yet I love the protagonist in this, and the legend that is Bruce Lee, Quest of the Dragon. I need to say Quest for the Dragon then, because yeah, it's not supposed to be a great game. It's like a 3D brawler, and then every now and again it seems to go to like a one-on-one fighter when you come across a mini boss or a boss, and he's got all of his signature moves. But it's an Xbox exclusive, so I thought I'll pick it up, I'll give it a go. You know, it could be so bad it's good, and it might even be alright, I don't know, but I do like my brawlers. We will see. Next one, Bloodwake. Just looking for some hidden gem videos for the Xbox on YouTube, and came across this one, and it's for Xbox only, and it's like a naval, you know, you're just going around basically blowing up different ships, a navy military sort of game on the water in your craft there, different levels. I guess there's probably a basic story that kind of pushes things forward. But yeah, a naval combat with guns, dodging all the enemies and things. Yeah, looked really good. Looked quite slick on the old Xbox. It's amazing, the Xbox and, you know, some of those games from that generation as a whole hold up really well today. And especially if you've got a decent interconnect and a decent TV for it to be plugged into. And soft modded always helps as well. Right, some other crackers here. Let's go with this one. Never saw this game before until I watched the video, and this is donkeys ago. Paul Inked Northerner, is it Paul? I think it is. Inked Northerner's video on his Xbox collection. And it's Arx Vitalis. Latin it sounds, I think. Didn't even know, never heard of this one before that video. Only for Xbox. It's an RPG, first person perspective RPG, like dungeon crawler-esque. Picking up weapons, crafting, I believe, but yeah, very, very dark in tone, as that kind of cover suggests. Yeah, looked interesting. Had to pick that one up. Never knew this one existed. Still learning about games, certainly for this generation. Anyway, there were so many between the Cube, the PS2, and the original Xbox just being chucked out. I hate saying it. Xbox, and it's part of the Mortal Kombat universe, and it's a one-player game, or is it a two-player game? Yeah, 1 to 2 players. Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks. and you play as, what's he called? The old hat with the razors. Oh, come on, brain. It's not Kung Lao, is it? Or something like that? Liu Kang and Kung Lao, yeah. And I looked at gameplay footage for this. It looked really, really good. Right up my street, sort of a 3D action brawler. And you still got your finisher moves in there, your fatalities. Very gory. Nice dark sort of tone that you've got with Mortal Kombat. Looks really good. Looking forward to giving that one a good go. Bit of a cult classic. Oh! That he drops. Stubbs the zombie. Rebel without a pulse. Now that ties into its 50s aesthetic and timeline. Rebel without a cause, James Dean. Yeah, and it's very bizarre. You can lose your limbs or send your arm off out to sort of spy and kill enemies by jumping up and grabbing their throats. You slowly get blown to bits. You can use and you regain. You can reattach like your limbs and things. Yeah, he's just a basic menace in like a zombie outbreak. Very comedic, and yeah, it's got a bit of a cult following, this one. So there's that one. And last but not least for the Xbox is Crazy Taxi 3. Love the Crazy Taxi games for the Dreamcast. Got those for the arcade wheel. Very arcadey system. Really like my arcadey races. More of the same, and I still haven't actually booted this up yet just to see how much visually it's improved from the Dreamcast versions. It's probably a little bit of a leap, but what you found obviously when the Dreamcast died, a lot of Sega's IPs made its way over to the Xbox, and they could have probably done a bit more with that, but yeah, Crazy Taxi 3, been looking to get that one for quite a while. There's not a vast amount of games I'm going to get for the Xbox. I'm really ploughing through them now. Right, we will go on to the Wee Willie Winky. You've only got one game, and it's, you know, reasonable hitter, heavy hitter. There's not too many biggies for the Wii, but it's getting up there. And it's for a series that I played on the 3DS for the first time, and it's Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn. I played the 3D version of the game on 3DS called, oh god, is it Awakenings? Reckoning. Really loved it. Tactical, strategic RPG where you're in a grid system and you move a certain amount of paces depending on the character that you've got. You advance the story and acquire more teammates, build up all their different skills. Yeah, really, really enjoyed it. A nice sort of slow, methodical RPGs. You know, very reminiscent of like a chess game where you really need to think about your move set. And using the right people at the right time to take on the right kind of baddies and have someone in backup. But the other one I'm looking out for, and it's much more expensive, is on the Cube. Is it Path to Glory? Path to something, isn't it? Fire Emblem on the GameCube. But that is a very high price, so unless I come up very lucky for that one, it might always elude me, but you never know. Right, 3DS now. 4 games for the 3DS. First one is one of the launch titles for the game system, and it's Steel Diver, lenticular case, underwater shooter basically, with a submarine. But I just love the 3D mechanic, gimmick, although I think it is more than a gimmick. I really think it does enhance the game, especially with a lot of Nintendos where they really did take that into consideration, the 3D aspect. Looking forward to playing this one. Next got a rhythm game, Final Fantasy Curtain Call. Theatre rhythm game. It's, yeah, got like a theatre kind of setting, a bit like Puppeteer if you're familiar with that one on the PlayStation 3. It's supposed to be really good. It's got a lot of fans. I'm not a huge rhythm game, but you know, I do like to branch out every now and again and go try different things out, different genres out, spread the wings, so to speak. But it's, you know, you've got a lot of really good quality Final Fantasy music in this, so keen to give that one a blast. Dragon Quest 7. Have a played any Dragon Quest games yet. I think the first one I might play. I've got 7. I'm looking for 8, which is a remake of the one on PlayStation 2. Was it called Cursed? Forgotten Cursed. Oh, my brain at the moment is the heat. But this one's supposed to be slightly different in style. How it's different, I don't know. I think it's supposed to be like slow, plays a bit slower as well. But again, I don't know. I'm either going to play when I get it, the 3DS version number 8 first, or I've got 11 on the PlayStation 4. I dare say it might be that one that I'll play first in the series. And this one that's been on the list for a long time, it came up as a buy it now, and I just boshed it. It was a good price, and it's Virtual's Last Reward, sorry. And it's a visual novel, and it's got like a dark sort of tone, I believe. There's little puzzle mechanics. I think it's a visual novel, this. But yeah, just thought it looked quite different. And again, another game that's slightly out of my comfort zone. And you know, it's the only way you're going to learn about all these different genres, by testing these things out. So it's supposed to be good. There's that one. The Wii U. The Wii U, I've really, I'm practically finished with my collecting for that one. But I wanted to get this one. There's 2 editions of it. I'm not sure what the difference is. I did look. But again, brain fog through heat. And it's Lost World. And clearly this is inspired by Mario Galaxy. It's got, different spherical worlds that Sonic's running through, but the graphics in this look really impressive, and I did boot it up just to give it a quick blast and go through some of the first stages, and it looks lovely and plays really well. So not a massive Sonic fan, I've said this time and time again, but this is supposed to be one of the better ones, and I'm a huge fan of Mario Galaxy, so I thought, let's give this one a bash. Yeah, this is the Deadly 6 edition, and then you've got a vanilla standard edition. I think, what is it, just different characters in this? Don't know. Well, that one, my Wii U collection, I'd say is practically there. Right, and finally, I'm on the PlayStation 4. I had the PlayStation 3 version of this back when I first started playing my bass guitar. It's Rocksmith, and this time I've got Rocksmith 2014. Since having my daughter, my other hobbies and time in general has just dwindled to next to nothing, but she's getting older now and my time's sort of loosening up now, and I really want to pick up my bass and get back into it, and I thought, got the cable with it as well, this will be a nice little way of doing so. Fingers crossed. Oh, absolutely parched. Redders in here, Redders. Right, I picked up this game from Danester, from his shop, and it didn't work. I got it cleaned twice and it just wouldn't work. Just didn't work at all. Don't know what happened. It just got to a certain point loading, disc not recognised, put in a game, the PlayStation can read. It had all these sort of glitches and errors. Very strange, very bizarre. Never happened with any other game. And it's bendy in the ink machine. And I picked this one up on the same day I got those in CEX. It was in there for a really good price. £12, £10, can't remember. But yeah, I love the style of this. It's got sort of sepia tones, like a dual tone aesthetic, ink styling, graphical style. And it's got a similar look and feel to a Bioshock from the 20s and 30s, in animation style, and hopefully music from that era as well. But it's got a dark tone to it. Looks interesting, this. I like my quirky, unique games. Bendy there. What am I currently playing? Currently playing on the PlayStation. I've finished by pumping in 114 hours into Horizon. Then I went off and played on the PlayStation 5 Record of Lodos War, Deedlit. Really enjoyed that. Castlevania-esque, really good. And then I always try to sort of go from a different genre each time. I fancy just like something a bit more high octane. So I'm starting to play Fist of the North Star, Lost Odyssey, a brawler story by the guys that did that did Yakuza. So if you think about that kind of, some of the crazy side stories you get in that, some real ridiculous characters in this, extremely violent, loads of F-bombs being dropped in it, just like the manga and anime. Yeah, really enjoying it, about halfway through that game. But the next game I'm going to play, I won't show that one actually, is probably this one, Doom Eternal. It's got a nice little free upgrade for the PlayStation 5, where you can even run it at 120 frames per second, which would be sweet. I must check to see if my TV can do that. It's a new one, might do. But if not, the patch or the PS5 version, you can get ray tracing. It just gives it a little bit more polish, and I'm sure I'll get a boost in frame rate at the same time. But another high octane first person shooter game in this one, and I really enjoyed Doom 2016. This one's supposed to be slightly different in a way. So, but Doom, you know, no frills in this. No silly story, no over dramatic cut scenes and loads of yabbering between characters, just going out there and shooting. And that's what Doom, at its essence and core, is all about. Right, there's some controversy around this one with microtransactions, but I played the first game in this series, Shadows of Mordor, and I've got Shadow of War, and I picked this up with Bendy and the Tenchu games when it went in CEX. Yeah, I think it's more of the same, but they were a bit naughty in this, weren't they, charging for like extra weapons where they should have been included in the game. And yeah, it's one of the worst things in gaming of this sort of day and age, really, those microtransactions. But you know, you just don't buy the game if you don't like them that much. But I think they've done something since where they've opened it up. That's what I've read anyway. You know, they removed that kind of functionality from it, or at least lessened it. And this one is, I don't think it's supported so much anymore, but this just always looked interesting. It's by the guys that did Little Big Planet, and it's basically a game toolkit where you can design your own games and you can go in there and play about. It sounds really, really interesting. You can do anything as well, different visual styles, different genres, and there's a lot of you know, budding creative people out there that have created some really cracking little mini games that are out there for you to view and download and play. Yeah, it just looks really unique and interesting. So there's that one, and that, as they say, is it. Right, now before I go, I'm gonna show you some games that I moved on. Like I said earlier, I don't just hoard everything and keep it in if it doesn't really gel with me, or I get a different version or whatever. I'll pass games on, and I sold the Quarry game on Facebook Marketplace to a guy, and he came around, bless him, picked it up, and then I noticed he was reaching into his bag, and he said, "Oh, you collect games, don't you?" He said, "I watch you on YouTube." So it's the first time anything like that's ever happened. Very small world, local, obviously. His name was Damien, so Damien, if you're watching, thank you ever so much. But he pulled out a nice stash of games from his bag. I don't know if you're a collector, Damien, or you know, there's some spares or things, but he had in there Resident Evil 4 for the PlayStation 2, Mark of Cree for the PlayStation 2, Legacy of Kain, Defiance for the PlayStation 2, Blood Omen 2 for the PlayStation 2, Narnia for the PlayStation 2, Batman Arkham Asylum for the PlayStation 3, Call of Juarez, Bound in Blood for the PlayStation 3, Dead Rising 2 for the PlayStation 3, and Far Cry 2 for the PlayStation 3. And he gave me those and said, you know, this is something for your collection, enjoy your content. And you know, I offered him the game for free, the Quarry game for free, wasn't having any of it. So Damien, thank you very much if you're watching. And there is a Damo that sometimes comments. Is that you, Damo? If it is, nice one, buddy. Much appreciated. Really, really is. You're a legend. And that concludes another Pickups video. I'm going to leave you at the end of this with some games that have left the collection. So until next time, hope everyone's well out there. Take care, stay safe, and I'll see you again.